I'm not defensive about it.
Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another live stream, guys. And as always, there is plenty of news to dive into. Make sure you're smashing the like button. Make sure you're subscribing if you're new around here. Get involved in the chat as well, people. Loads of news, guys. Chelsea leading the race for Dean Huijsen. Want to complete the signing of the Bournemouth centre-back before the Club World Cup this summer. Chelsea are still interested in Alejandro Garnacho and Mainoo ahead of the summer transfer window. Man United intend to trigger Liam Delap's release clause on the 1st of June, with Delap set to decide his future at the end of the season based on European football / Champions League football. So there's a lot at stake there in the race for Liam Delap. Plus, Roman Abramovich is going to be releasing a tell-all book about his point of view of the Chelsea sale. So that's going to be very interesting. And his first interviews that he's done in over 4 years. The book will be released this summer. But big up to everyone who's locked in, guys. Big love, smashing the likes, as I said, subscribe, all that good stuff. You lot know exactly what to do. Let's say hello to a few of you, and then we're going to get this show on the road. I don't want Garnacho at Chelsea. So average, and we need an experienced and leadership centre-back. Fair enough. I absolutely agree on this, C. Absolutely. We don't need another teenager. True. What's a load of rubbish? Well, if that's your opinion, no problem. Brother, I had to disagree with you here. He's not what Chelsea need at all. But yeah, anyway, yes, big up, big up, big up. Yes. Right, let's get straight into it, guys. It's mental. Transfer news seems to just come earlier and earlier every single year. But here we are. We're coming to the end of April, and major transfer news is already starting to take shape. I think we're going to see this, guys, with the Club World Cup, with there being 2 transfer windows this summer, in essence. A lot of teams are going to be looking to get their business done early doors. You know, Chelsea reportedly want the bulk of their squad together for the Club World Cup, which means a lot of business will be done early. And let's start with this breaking news story from The Independent. Well, let me just quickly bring this up. I don't know why I got rid of that. But yeah, breaking news from The Independent this morning. And Miguel Delaney. Chelsea have taken a lead in the pursuit of Bournemouth's Dean Huijsen and hope to complete a deal before the Club World Cup. Now, we know that Chelsea have been linked with Huijsen for a while now. As soon as it became clear that there was a £50 million release clause in his contract, a number of the Premier League's top clubs and a number of Europe's top clubs were showing interest, obviously, in Huijsen. A while back, it was reported that, you know, Real Madrid were favourites for his signature. Now, it seems like he is more likely to stay within the Premier League. And this article in The Independent states, Chelsea have taken a lead in the pursuit of Bournemouth's Dean Huijsen. The 19-year-old is understood to now be seriously considering Chelsea, who are one of many major clubs pursuing the centre-back. The Spain international has a release clause of 50 million, with suitors also including Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle. Real Madrid have an interest, but are now not expected to move this summer. Chelsea are willing to offer a package that could make up a 7-year contract, with Huijsen fitting their strategy of signing their most promising young players in football. The defender has quickly evolved into one of the Premier League's standout centre-halves, and this year made his international debut for Spain. Yet, such a move would form what is already set to be another busy summer for Chelsea, partly due to squad needs and partly due to PSR. They are also looking at forward positions, and there is expected to be considerable change in defence. Bournemouth, meanwhile, expect Huijsen, Semenyo and Kirkes to leave. Yep. So there we go. Chelsea now leading the race for Dean Huijsen. That is not something that I expected to see. Not something I expected to see. However, it's clear from reports that Chelsea are big fans of Dean Huijsen, that Chelsea believe that Dean Huijsen is a generational talent. Now, I personally wouldn't go that far. I absolutely wouldn't go that far. But the Ben Jacobs update on Mr. Dean Huijsen. and he provides a bit more detail here as well. By the way, chat, let me know your thoughts on Dean Huijsen. Are you okay with Chelsea signing Dean Huijsen? Do you think we need another centre-back in addition to Huijsen? Are you happy with just Huijsen? I'm going to get into my thoughts very shortly once I've gone through this update. But chat, let me know your thoughts. Chelsea are pushing for Bournemouth defender Dean Huijsen and hope to sign him in time for the Club World Cup. Bournemouth want a quick deal. Liverpool and Arsenal are still in the race. So slightly differing here to what is being reported in Spain, where they've said that Liverpool are virtually out of the race. I still believe Liverpool are right in the race, in my opinion. Spurs and Newcastle have also held talks. I think they're going to be out. Huijsen expected to remain in the Premier League. Real Madrid haven't committed to signing a new centre-back yet, and multiple Premier League clubs are moving fast to try and finalise an agreement. No issue on club-to-club side, all about getting player buy-in. And that's going to be the crucial thing here, guys, getting the player buy-in. I mean, look, generational is ridiculous. I mean, I would reserve generational for very few players. I would say someone like Lamine Yamal is a generational talent. Esteval Willian, potentially a generational talent. I don't think I'd use the same wording for Dean Huijsen, but yeah, let's see what you lot are saying. I'll be happy with Huijsen if there was an experienced centre-back alongside him. Absolutely agree. He's a very good player, but young and we need experience. I also agree on that. Ricky, big up, brother. I don't mind signing these young players as long as it comes with 3 or 4 experienced players alongside them. Yeah, bro, I think that's the general consensus amongst the fan base and the general consensus amongst just everyone, really, is that this is okay, but this can't be the only centre-back signing because it doesn't really help. It doesn't really help massively in terms of what we need. What happened to the news of Kim Min-jae? Well, that seems to have gone a little bit quiet. Not to suggest that might not be simmering away in the background, because it absolutely could be. But right now, it doesn't appear to be. It doesn't appear to be the case right now. It doesn't appear to be the case right now. But you know, you never know. You never know. Never say never in football. Things do change very quickly. But yeah, my concern, right, with just signing Dean Huijsen is the same concerns that a lot of people have got. Because what we need is an experienced centre-back. We need an experienced centre-back. No doubt about it. You know? And I do like Huijsen, and I think there's a lot of ability there. But experience complaints are absolutely fair. And there's also an argument about his profile. Is he too similar a profile to Levi Colwill? You know, we need a bit of a middle ground here. We need to find someone with experience and quality. You know, Jonathan Tah, for example, is someone that I think Chelsea have potentially looked at in the past, but he's not been great for the last 12 to 18 months. Kim Min-jae is another name that's been mentioned, but again, you get Mark Gurhey mentioned as well, and Chelsea could look to go for him. But when you look at £50 million release clause for Dean Huijsen, I don't think his wages would be astronomical. And this is clearly a deal that Chelsea are looking to get done. 50 million for Huijsen. Maybe we're looking at, you know, a deal for Mark Gurhey as well. I mean, I'm not against signing Dean Huijsen, by the way. I like him. Loads of potential there. Clearly, you can see why Chelsea are looking for it at him, because he ticks all the relevant boxes for the recruitment model and what we look for in a signing in general. However, we are screaming out for a Thiago Silva type signing, an experienced defender with quality to come in and lead the back line for these young defenders to look up to and learn from. That's what we need. That's what we need, and that's what we're looking for. But I just don't know if that's what we're going to get. And this is my big problem here, because how does just bringing in a 20-year-old centre-back with 1 season of Premier League experience solve the issues that we've got at the back? Because I guarantee if we just do that, we are going to be looking at the same defensive issues again. The same defensive issues again. You know, that's the reality here. So if it's a question of one centre-back coming in, I would have to say that I wouldn't want Dean Huijsen to come if he's the only centre-back. The only way that I'm happy with the Dean Huijsen signing is if someone else comes in alongside him. Because otherwise, the same issues you've had at the back are going to be the same issues we're going to have at the back again next season. And this is the point that I'm trying to make here. This is the point that I'm trying to make here. Marquinhos is never happening. It's never happening. Yeah, no, I get it. There's not that. I'm not referring to go and get a Thiago Silva. What I'm saying is that there's not really that many of that type of signing on the market, and that's the issue here. That's the issue here. We need two centre-backs this summer, in my opinion. There's going to be a lot of movement. I think Disasi's gone. I think Chalobah will be gone. I think Badiashile could be gone. Potentially Tosin maybe will be gone as well. You know, there's room for two centre-backs to come in. But my concern would be, right, if you sign Dean Huijsen, okay, another young centre-back, why did you sign Mamadou Sarr from Strasbourg, 19 years old? What's the plan for him? Where's the pathway for him? Why did you sign that player? It is really a bit concerning and really rather baffling, I have to say. Rather baffling, in my view. Guys, run the likes up as well. We're 75 in the building, only 85 in the building, only 28 likes. Guys, that's piss poor. We're looking at a Nicholas Jackson conversion rate. Be more like Victor Gyökeres, guys. Smash that like button and obviously subscribe if you're new around here as well. Let's get these likes up. I mean, look, Mark, for me, and people have laughed at me for this, and chat, you'll probably get onto me for this opinion as well. But if we could only sign one centre-back this summer, Mark Guehi is a better signing for Chelsea than Dean Huijsen if you can only sign one centre-back this summer based on what we need. Now, I'm not saying that Mark Guehi is necessarily a considerably better player than Dean Huijsen, but Mark Guehi ticks more boxes and gives Chelsea more what they need than a Dean Huijsen would, for example. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Yeah, we could have got I think Bournemouth paid £13 million for him. Yeah, £13 million Bournemouth spent on him. And, you know, yeah, he was there last season. You know, we could have gone for him then. Why we didn't go for him then, I'm unsure. But it is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is right now. You know, it is what it is. I don't know. Murillo's another one, but again, Forest look like they've secured Champions League football. So why would Murillo go anywhere at least for another season? None of the signings are aspiring. What is Dean Huijsen going to do? Is he leading the line? No, he's not. And this is the point that I'm making. He's not going to be leading the line, which in itself raises further issues. I like Guehi, but is there possibly better? Look, there are better defenders than Mark Guehi, but are there better defenders than Guehi on the market in terms of what Chelsea are looking for and in terms of the price that we'd be able to get him for? You know, you've got to be looking at the total package here. You have to look at the total package, not just, oh, how good is XYZ player? If we get Champions League football next season, we'll be playing lots of games. We're going to need depth. Yeah, no, absolutely going to need depth. And I've got no issue with Huijsen coming. But my caveat, as I said, is that we need to bring two centre-backs in. There has to be an experienced centre-back alongside Huijsen. I understand your point, but at the same time, we used to sign tons of young players and we didn't have a pathway and they'd have to fight it out via loans. Yeah, sure. I get that. But you've just signed Sarr from Strasbourg and then he spent the rest of this season on loan at Strasbourg. So why you're not going to then loan him back to Strasbourg again next season? That doesn't make sense. Where's the sense in that? There is no sense in that. Like, that shit's not adding up. That shit is not adding up. Sarri's going to go on loan and they probably get Dean Huijsen. Anything can happen. Sure, anything can happen. But Bastoni is never happening. You know, what people need to realise is that Italian players often just stay in Italy or they'll move to the biggest clubs in Italy. Bastoni's not going to move. Inter would command ridiculous money for him. And it's not about Maresca it's not down to the manager to attract players. It's about the club being able to attract players in general. That's what this comes down to, guys. Fofana's not going to go anywhere, I don't think. Well, look, he's 50 million because of the release clause. That might not be market value. I don't know if he is. Is Achimpong getting in the England squad if he's had the same minutes as Huijsen this season? Possibly, but maybe unlikely. Plus, I've always viewed Achimpong as a right back as well, rather than a centre back. You need 5 centre backs in the squad. You need 5 centre backs. That's how I see it. That's my opinion on proceedings. We need 5 centre backs. Now, Forest will not want to lose any of their key players. They might lose 1 or 2 potentially, maybe Morgan Gibbs-White, but as far as I'm concerned, Murillo will be at Forest next season if they got Champions League football. The following summer 2026, then we're having a different conversation. We are absolutely having a different conversation, chat. If he's at the end of next season. Yes, big up, brother. If anyone was wondering why we don't trust these SDs, then look at the links between us and Huijsen. Good player, but we need experience. Yeah, bro, I hear you. We're going to move on to those in a sec. Bro, I don't disagree with you that Huijsen could be a better player than Colwell. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. No, you won't find me disagreeing with that. Colwell has been hugely underwhelming this season. You know, he's been hugely underwhelming, and that's the reality. That's the reality, guys. Colwell's been hugely underwhelming. Yep, and we're going to have to get rid of some. Ansel Mina's going to go on loan. Then you've got the Sassy, who I believe is going to go. That's down to 7. Chalobah, I think, will go. That's down to 6. If you include Renato Vega in that pool of defenders, maybe he goes as well. You're then down to 5. Tosin or Badiashile, one of those two could potentially leave. You're down to 4. So, there's going to be significant change, guys, at the back. And I think there needs to be. But Huijsen in a Maresca system, he ticks boxes. He fits the bill. He'll have a lot of touches of the ball. He's comfortable bringing the ball out. He's comfortable passing out from the back. He adds height as well. I think he's 6'5", if I'm not mistaken. So he would add some much needed height to the back line as well. Much needed height to the back line. But if you're gonna sign a hybrid, why would you not just keep Renato Vega? That's the point that I would be looking at here. If you're going to sign a hybrid style defender, this is why it links to Jarell Hato as well at Ajax. Didn't make an awful lot of sense unless Vega's leaving, because Hato, talented boy, he's a left back, centre back hybrid. Now, again, Ish Samuel Smith has signed a new contract at Chelsea, a new 6-year deal last week. He's yet to make his first team debut, but is he someone that Chelsea think, actually, do you know what? We're going to use him as the backup to Marc Correa, and we're going to save our money, and we're going to promote him to the first team squad next season, and we're not going to go and sign a left back. There are so many unknown questions right now. So many unknown questions right now. And I'm seeing people in the chat saying Schlotterbeck. I'm seeing all sorts of names being mentioned. No, bro, I know that Huijsen is good. My issue is not Huijsen's quality. That is not the point that I'm making here at all. My issue is not Dean Huijsen's quality. My issue is if he's the only centre-back coming in, as I've said. Kim Min-jae's been linked, absolutely. I mean, Tap Sober is a name that's been linked in the past. Jonathan Tah. There's experienced centre-backs out there. But, yeah, look, Chelsea obviously think this is too good a deal to miss out on. They're going to be doing everything they can to get Dean Huijsen in. Do I believe that we can beat Liverpool to his signature? It's going to be very tough. If we miss out on Champions League football, that's going to be a major issue. I think, I think if we miss out on Champions League football, we could be in big trouble. I'm looking at Huijsen and thinking, right, okay, he'd have the opportunity to potentially play alongside Virgil van Dijk, potentially be the long-term successor to Van Dijk when he leaves. He'd have a couple of seasons to bed in alongside Van Dijk. We don't know what's going to happen with Konate. Liverpool are in a position to challenge for major trophies, playing Champions League football. I could absolutely see him going to Liverpool. I mean, what makes Chelsea, and this is a genuine question, and chat, let me know if I'm wrong here. What makes Chelsea a more attractive proposition than joining Liverpool for Dean Huijsen? Please let me know, guys, in the chat. What makes Chelsea a more attractive proposition than Liverpool right now? Because I'm struggling to see, other than perhaps London lifestyle, other than, you get the security of a 7-year contract or whatever. How much more game time is Huijsen going to get at Chelsea than he would at Liverpool? Because this idea that he wouldn't get loads of, but bro, what's our youth project? What is that? 0 trophies and 0 Champions League qualifications in 3 years since we've been taken over. That youth project isn't anything right now. The strength of our sporting project is fully in the bin, guys. Fully in the bin. There's no denying that. Guys, we're 120 in the building, only 47 likes. Please keep smashing that like button. It's free. It takes seconds to do. So let's run it up. Run it up, guys. Let me know when we're on 60, 70 likes in the chat, people. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. Let's get it moving, guys. Playing time. Chelsea have a better future plan. But what are we basing that on, though, guys? I mean, I've said it myself in the past, and loads of Chelsea fans say it, but what are we basing that on? What are we basing Chelsea having a better future plan on? Because right now, I'm struggling to see on what basis we have a better future plan other than just blind faith that this project might come off. Other than just blind faith that this project might come off. Because we're not seeing any evidence that this is gonna that this is gonna do anything. We're not seeing any evidence that this is a better project other than blind faith. Yeah, potentially. Lots more for finer out injured. He's better than the others, so we'll start Konate, Van Dijk, and but we're up in the air about Konate's future. Sure. No, I agree. But what I'm saying is I'm struggling to see how players would see it as more attractive. That's my main point here. Yeah, but do you actually believe that? Do you actually believe that? And ultimately, the proof will be in the pudding when we see what caliber of players we sign this summer, and when we see what caliber of players we sign this summer, guys. That's the reality here. That is the reality here. And why am I getting missed calls from just random numbers? Won't be responding to that. Maybe it's Huijsen's agent ringing me up. Players speak to owners. They know more than us about these owners. Yeah, sure. But there's also a situation where we have to accept that when you are convincing someone to sign, you're gonna exaggerate the truth and maybe spin some lies as well. We have definitely lied to a number of individuals to get them to sign. Of course we have. And that won't just be a Chelsea thing, that'll be a number of things. Bro, maybe he does. Maybe he does. Maybe he's on to me. Maybe they're trying to bail me up. But no, there's no voicemail. No voicemail. So we're good. We're in the clear, people. I think we'll get Huijsen, but just me. Look, I think we've got a good chance. a good chance. We're dominant now based on possession, but do nothing with it. Yeah, look at Forest. Forest have got the lowest average possession in the league, I think it is, and they're in the top 4. So make that make sense. Football's never been about how much possession you have. Football's always about what you do with when you have the ball. You can have very little of the ball, but when it's about what you do with it. It's about how efficient you are when you have the ball. And Forest have shown this season that you don't need to have lots of the ball to be at the top end of the table, but you've got to be very efficient and bang on it when you do have the ball. Those are the realities here. Sure, absolutely, and you can't look at Fofana and consider him a first team player right now because of the fact that he's always injured. You know, you can't do that. That's the reality here. We as fans are impatient. These kids see that they can push this current team to higher heights if they sign. But can they? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, I hear you on that. I absolutely hear you on that. But yeah, you know, Dean Huijsen, the race for Huijsen is hotting up. It's going to be very, very interesting. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of deal reached before the end of the season, or certainly like as soon as the season's over, there will be something, there'll be a deal reached very quickly once the season's over, or before the season. But yeah, for me, we need an experienced centre half. Simple as that. Simple as that. But yeah, anyway, let's move away from Dean Huijsen and let's move on to yes, big up, mate. I hope you're doing well, bro. I hope you're doing well. Who's that? But let's talk Liam Delap, guys. Let's talk Liam Delap. Where are we? Not this one. No. Is it that one? Let me just quickly find it, guys, because there is interest. Right, let's start with this bit then. Because Man United are serious about Liam Delap, guys. They are serious. This is from Chris Wheeler, Man United reporter in the Daily Mail. Man United intend to trigger their number one target, Liam Delap's £30 million release clause, once the transfer window opens on June 1st. There are still obstacles to signing him. They face fierce competition, and there are other fees connected with the deal that could push the figure higher. Now, let me just find this Ben Jacobs thing on. This could be good. I don't want to be sharing that, though. Let's quickly stop sharing that screen. Let me just find the Ben Jacobs info on Delap, where he says about when he will make his decision on his future and how it will be impacted. Yes, perfect. Right. And this is interesting. I don't know who Delap thinks he is. Maybe he's got a bit of an ego. I don't know what. It feels a little bit like the Eden Hazard situation. But United want both Cunha and Liam Delap. Unlike Cunha, understand Delap will wait until the end of the season and assess which suitors have European and or Champions League football. Delap's release clause will be 30 million once Ipswich are officially relegated. Chelsea, another of his leading suitors. Now, how peak would it be if we miss out on Delap because United scumbag the Europa League? I've got look. I still think we can get. I still think we can get Delap. You know, I'm not ruling us out of the race at all. I believe we can get him, but my concerns absolutely are that United get Champions League football by winning the Europa League next season, and we won't be in the Champions League. That for me is a concern. That is a concern. And then if you miss out on Liam Delap, who do you go for? Who do you go for? Yeah, of course, yes, but unfortunately, we've missed the boat on that. Last season was the opportunity to get Osimhen. We decided that we weren't going to pay the wages, and we missed out. Why on earth, 12 months later, would we then suddenly decide, oh, actually, we are going to pay the wages now? It'll be peak levels of embarrassment, and would just be utterly ridiculous. We missed the boat on Osimhen, and that's that. Delap is a really good player, but I think we should try to get a true world-class striker. Again, similar to the centre-back situation, right? I've got no issue with getting Delap, but it needs to be Delap and someone else. It needs to be Delap and one more. You need three centre forwards, in my opinion. You need 3 centre forwards in your squad. Nicholas Jackson and Delap being 2, plus one more, maybe a Gyökeres or an Osimhen as an example. We're set. All bases are covered. But again, similar to Huijsen, my concern would be if Delap is the only signing. If Delap's the only signing at centre forward, that would be a concern. Yes, he gives us a profile that we don't have. Yes, he gives us different strengths and things that Jackson's not good at, Delap is good at. Box presence, getting in the end of a lot of the balls that we put into the box. Absolutely. But after one season in the Premier League, is Delap ready to come in and take Chelsea from the level that we're at now to the level here? But the issue we've got is that in terms of the striker market and in terms of strikers that are available this summer, there are only two level raisers to get you to where you want to be. That's Victor Osimhen and that's Victor Gyökeres. Those are the only 2 strikers available that will take you to the level that's required. And I personally, unfortunately, cannot see us getting either of those strikers. So then you're shopping in the next bracket down. And then the next bracket down, your Delaps, your Seskos, your Hugo Ekitikes, these sort of guys that we've been linked with, I would have to say that Delap is probably the best option. I would say that Delap's probably the best option. Chelsea will not be paying the release clause. We'll pay release clause plus 10. Maybe we've done that before. We've paid slightly more than the release clause to get more favourable payment terms. But I think with the release clause being so low, maybe we can pay it all in one go. I don't know, but it would. Given Chelsea have made it. Look, by the way, this is not. If we miss out on Delap, it's not about missing out on the quality of player. It's more the embarrassment of having made it abundantly clear publicly that he probably is our top target or one of them, and to miss out, given the connections that we have, with Maresca having worked with him before, with Joe Shields having brought him to Man City, to miss out on him, having made it so public and with the connections that we have as a club, that would be a really bad look. To want to go to Man United, who are struggling, who are behind us in terms of the strength of their project and where they are as a club, it would be a big kick in the teeth and a big failure for the Chelsea project if we were to miss out on Liam Delap. It really would be, in my opinion. Yeah, no, sure, bro. We absolutely have done stranger things, but I'd be surprised if we did that. Yeah, I would loan Guiu next season, whether it's to a championship club or whether he goes to Strasbourg or whether it's back to Spain somewhere. He needs to go somewhere where he's going to play week in, week out. That's not going to happen at Chelsea. Look, I remember saying at the time, Garassi, he was available for like 15 million quid release clause, and we didn't go for it. We didn't go for it. And I think that was a mistake. Jonathan David available on a free transfer. Again, another potential option for us, guys. Another potential option for us. But again, there's reportedly going to be a big signing on fee for him. Are Chelsea going to be looking at that? I don't know. I mean, look, we maybe should have tried to sign Julian Alvarez last summer. I agree with you. I agree with you on that one. Ideally, you wouldn't want all 3 strikers around the same age. No, I absolutely agree. You've got Nicholas Jackson, 23. Delap would be 22. Then you want someone a little bit older, whereas a Gyökeres, 26, going on 27. I think Osimhen a similar age. That would complement us nicely. Or you go for that more experienced striker, like we have done in the past with a Demba Ba, Loic Remy, Olivier Giroud type mold. That's what you then go for. That is what you then go for, guys. So interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. I don't know. We do have one big name signing every summer. There could be a surprise deal. There absolutely could be a surprise deal. There could be. Bro, everyone, this Chelsea level thing is nonsense. What is Chelsea level right now? because as far as I can see, not many players are Chelsea level right now. You know, we've got to accept where we are. We have to accept where we are right now. Lautaro Martinez is not coming to Chelsea, guys. Not coming. Does Guirassy have a release clause in the summer? Maybe he does. Maybe he does if Dortmund miss out on Champions League. Potentially he does. I mean, look, Matheus Cunha, he's more of a number 10 type. We need out and out centre forward. So for me, I wouldn't be on board with the Matheus Cunha thing. But yeah, Man United. Let's have a quick look here on the Delap stuff. Premier League sides could face competition from Borussia Dortmund in the fight to sign Liam Delap. Delap is one of United's top summer targets and is also attracting interest from as many as 10 rival clubs, including Chelsea. Sources close to Delap have told TalkSport he has a number of suitors outside of England, including Dortmund. It's understood his preference is to join a club playing in the Champions League. Yeah, and again, this is the thing, guys. This is how important Champions League football is. Even when you're looking to sign a player like Liam Delap from a relegated club, wants Champions League football, wants the Champions League football. If we cannot offer that Champions League football, we could find ourselves fucked when we're looking to sign a number. When we're looking to sign a number of these players, we could find ourselves fucked and in a very, very difficult position. You know, we can't afford to miss out on a Delap. You know, we can't afford to be missing out on these players, and we've made it so public that we're interested. And we want to sign them. You know, bro. There's no Gyökeres news. There is no Gyökeres news. You know, he probably prefers a move to a Liverpool or an Arsenal. Chelsea potentially could look at it, but yeah. My preferred option would be Gyökeres, but I think realistic options, we're looking at someone like Delap or maybe Benjamin Sesko. Big fan of Morgan Rogers. We don't need that type of player, though. We've got plenty of those number 10s. You know, we don't need another number 10 style player coming in. Why does Delap have such expectations? For example, you expect two striker? Look, I expect two strikers regardless, because if one striker gets injured, then you're back to just having one available. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. We have to be honest here, bro. I don't know why people keep referring to Delap's loan spell at Hull. Why does anyone care about that? What's more important is what he's doing in the Premier League and what he's done this season, where he scored 12 goals and looked good in a very poor Ipswich side. I don't care what he did on loan at Hull City. I couldn't care less. That's not forming my opinion. That's not forming my opinion. Yeah, look, the odds are stacked against us big time. We know that. Just break the bank for Isak and shock the world. Yeah, I mean, I'd love it, but again, Champions League football. You can forget about doing that unless you have Champions League football. You can absolutely forget about it. So there we are, guys. We're over 120 in the building. Still only on 68 likes. Please smash that like button, and please subscribe, guys, as well. If you're new round here, it would make a big difference, and it would really help me out, guys. So yeah. I would greatly appreciate it, people. So make sure you run it up, and please hit the like and please hit the subscribe. I don't know if there will be. I don't know if there will be, people. I'm really not sure there will be. Who the fuck is Delap wanting Champions League football? Well, look, players are well within their rights to want Champions League football. Admittedly, going from a relegated club, you probably take a step up to European football. And look, Champions League football might not be the be all and end all, but it's going to be a deciding factor for sure. Now, obviously, if United get knocked out of the Europa League or lose the final, then they're going to be playing no European football, and that probably leaves the path clear for Chelsea. But let's move away from Liam Delap and to more, I suppose we could call this concerning news. I suppose we could refer to it as concerning news. And that news is that Mainoo and Alejandro Garnacho are Chelsea targets ahead of the summer window. Now, we know that we were linked with both these players in January. More strongly linked with Garnacho before we opted against going for him. Mainoo, there were surprise links in January. And just on Mainoo, I cannot understand for the life of me why on earth are we looking at Mainoo? We've got plenty of midfield players. We don't need another midfield player. And we don't need another number 10 type player either. So what on earth is the thought process here about bringing Mainoo in? I'm lost here. I'm completely lost. I'm not saying that Mainoo's a bad player. I'm not saying that Mainoo's not a big talent, because he is. But we were linked in January and we're being linked again. Now, United are obviously looking at sales because they need to raise money for PSR. And unfortunately, those academy products may well have to be sacrificed. There's no denying that. They may well have to be sacrificed. But why? Yeah, but that's fine. But Santos is coming back. Oh, come on. Let's not do this, people. Let's not do this, chat. Yeah, I'm just baffled at this. I'm baffled at the Mainoo links, not because of the quality of the player, but where on earth is Mainoo playing at Chelsea next season? Please, chat, please tell me if you're pro this Mainoo situation. Where is he playing for Chelsea next season? Please, somebody tell me in the chat, because I don't understand what's going on here. I do not understand for the life of me what's going on here, guys. Where the fuck is Mainoo playing next season for Chelsea? But he's not, though, because we've got Santos, Caicedo, Lavia, Enzo, and Asugu. Not to mention Kendry Paez, who the Athletic have said is going to be an understudy to Enzo Fernandez. Not necessarily next season, but in general in the long run. So where is he playing? What, Mainoo in the 10, when you've got Cole Palmer, when you've got Esteban, when you've got Kendry Paez, players that can play in that position? Guys, it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. I personally don't see Lavia being moved on. I think they'll stick with him and give him another season to prove that he can stay fit. I just don't get it. Yeah, not for us though. We don't need this. Is what I don't understand. Why on earth do people think that Chelsea need another number 10? Why do people think that? We don't need a 10. We don't need a 10 at all. You know, we don't need a 10. And then the fact we're still linked with Garnacho is a real concern. A real concern, because he wasn't right in January and he's not right now. Not right in January, not right now. You know, the fact we're being linked with him again sends warning signs to me that the summer window could be another flop. And that's a real worry for me. Because if you're looking at Garnacho for around £60 million, why would you not just keep faith with Tyreek George? Why would you just not promote Tyreek George into the first team picture on a more regular basis? Why wouldn't that happen? This is what I'm not understanding, chat. This is what I'm not understanding. Because those links are still there and they shouldn't be there. That should be a right-click, remove link, like you do on a Word document. This shit needs to be removed. And I don't hate Garnacho as a person, don't know him, but as a footballer, I just do not understand what Chelsea see in him. What do they see? Yes, he's 20. Yes, there's room for improvement. Yes, I understand all of those things. And I'm not disputing. I'm not disputing those things. Not disputing those things at all. But for Chelsea, it doesn't make sense. If you're going to spend that money on someone, just keep Tyreek George and sign someone better. Just keep Tyreek George and sign someone better. I mean, it surely isn't that difficult. It surely isn't that difficult. I don't think Garnacho is. But yeah, but is Garnacho going to be a considerable upgrade on what we've got and be better and like take this team to the next level? He's not. He simply isn't. This is just another player who has moments, who's got a little bit about him, but reality is that he's not really good enough. Is this what we want to be doing again? Are these the choices that we want to be making? I'm just I'm just at a loss, people. I'm at a loss and I'm baffled with the current situation, guys. Yeah. Plus there's Quenda coming in as well. Exactly. Quenda's coming. Why are you accumulating so many players in the same position, all of the same age? That's the part that doesn't make sense. Why are you accumulating those players all of the same age? That's where I'm out. That's where this shit doesn't make sense. And it's clearly that you're just buying them. The best will stay and the rest will be hopefully sold for a profit. That's what we're doing here. 5 goals for Garnacho. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, people. Chat, it's not making sense. No, I'm not buying into everything. I'm just covering news and sharing my opinions on it. You know, but we can't pretend that we're not interested in Garnacho, because we absolutely have been interested in Garnacho, and that much was abundantly clear in January. Abundantly clear in January that we were interested in Garnacho, and we did explore making a move. We can't just sit here and pretend that that's not true. That was true. Mainoo we were linked with to a lesser extent. Let's wait and see what happens, guys. But yeah, for me personally, I don't understand. I don't understand either of the links to these players. I don't get either of the links. It's baffling. And when you see stuff like that, you sort of just wonder, you're thinking, fuck, is this actually just going to be another load of shit that we're going to do in the summer? Do we really trust ourselves to get the job done that we need to get done? What do you mean there's no proof we're interested? Bro, just go and look at all the reports from January. Just type Garnacho and Chelsea into Google. We were heavily linked with him in January. Heavily linked in January. And there is genuine interest in him. And that interest reportedly still remains. So this idea, you can't just say because you don't believe it that it's not true. So winger options. Forget Madrid, forget Sterling. You've got Sancho, Neto, Madueke, Esteval, Quenda. So that's 5 you've got there. Tyreek George is a 6th as well, if you want to keep him. Plus, we're going to sign someone this summer. So there are going to be multiple... I'm not saying that that doesn't mean he gets flipped. What I'm saying is that there should be a place in the first team squad for him next season. I'd rather just have a place in the first team squad for Tyreek George next season than go out and spend money on Garnacho. That's what I'm saying here, guys. That's what I'm saying here. So yeah, that's where we are. But that's just my opinion. People have different opinions, and that's cool. No problem at all. Yeah, exactly. Lookman, I would have Lookman over Garnacho. Yeah, we covered that yesterday. It doesn't really change an awful lot in the grand scheme of things. A lie detector is not conclusive proof. You're going to need more than that. You're going to need more than that. Look, the obligation has been activated because we're going to finish above. We're not going to finish in the bottom 6, but that doesn't take away from the fact that Chelsea still haven't decided whether they're going to go for Garnacho, or sorry, whether they're going to make that Sancho move permanent yet. Just because the obligation's been triggered, because we're not going to finish in the top, not going to finish in the bottom 6. We still have the choice whether we want to make that deal permanent or not. So yeah. Well, seeing as he's not their player, no. Chelsea own Santos. Santos is contracted to Chelsea. Strasbourg don't have a say in the future of Andre Santos. The future of Andre Santos is between him and Chelsea. Strasbourg can't be making demands about over Santos. That can't be happening. What happened with Xavi Simons? Nothing. He'll probably leave Leipzig this summer and he'll move elsewhere. But he certainly, I don't think there's any chance of him coming to Chelsea. I don't see that being the case. Guys, keep smashing the like button. 127 in the building. We're on 82 likes. Let's get this up to 100 likes, guys. We can definitely hit the 100 likes target. So please do smash the like button and keep subscribing if you're new around here as well. But yeah, that sort of stuff, I'm just like, oh, can we just not do this again? I don't get it. Yeah, it's confusing me. It's confusing me, but I think there's gonna be a lot of times this summer and between now and the end of the season where we're going to be in a similar situation where we're just not understanding what's going on here. Where we're just not understanding what's going on. And Garnacho's wasteful, as the worst dribble success rate in the Premier League this season with players who've attempted 60 plus dribbles. But whoever it is in the boardroom who's got this Garnacho obsession, he needs to be outed. He needs to be outed and he needs to be sacked and removed. What is this Garnacho obsession? Like, come on. What is the Garnacho obsession? clearly the sporting directors must really like him. Clearly, he ranks highly on data, and we know that Chelsea basically base a load of their signings on data rather than using it as a thing. So let's see. Let's see what happens. Yeah. Could be problems. Could be problems, guys. It's not a Man United fan. He's a United correspondent, but there's no doubt that United would probably listen to offers for Garnacho. They've got those issues. So they've got those PSR issues. So yeah, they will need to be selling someone. They will need to be selling someone. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see on that. I don't know there'll be protests or anything like that, but people will be pissed if we sign Garnacho. People will be pissed off if Chelsea sign Garnacho. There's no denying that. Guys, 12 more likes to go. Let's keep pushing people. Almost there, chat. So keep smashing the like button. Would greatly appreciate it. So yeah, run it up, people, and subscribe as well if you are new round here. We're heading towards 16.1k. So yeah, run it up, guys. But yeah, what else is going on? Let's have a look what else is going on, people. And also any questions you've got, chat, get them in there and I'll try and answer as many as I can. But let's have a look. Let's have a look. I mean, Joao Felix reportedly has begun talks with Benfica as well about a return to the club, but there's not much more to add on that at this point in time. Let's have a look. Yes. Let's do. We've got news on Chukwuemeka, guys. Let's quickly cover that. With Chelsea and Dortmund expected to have talks over Chukwuemeka at the end of the season. Now, some people think Chukwuemeka could still have a future at Chelsea. I find that very hard to believe. I don't see how Chukwuemeka could still have a future at Chelsea. That to me, the math's not mathing there. And it's clear that Maresca is not rating Chukwuemeka, and it's clear the club are happy to move on from Chukwuemeka. Those things are abundantly clear, and those things are very obvious. I absolutely get that. Absolutely get that. But Bristol Dortmund will open talks with Chelsea to keep Carney Chukwuemeka next season. Deal conditions to be discussed again. But Borussia Dortmund want to try to keep Carney at the club after 6-month loan. Look, they've got an option to buy. I think it's 35 million euros. Sky Germany have reported that that's too expensive. They're exploring whether they can get that price down or whether they can do another loan deal for Chukwuemeka. Now, another loan deal for Chukwuemeka, maybe that makes sense, but Chelsea would probably prefer a permanent sale, you'd imagine. You'd imagine they prefer a permanent sale. And he has made a big he's made a big difference to Dortmund, He's a very good talent, He's a very good talent. But for whatever reason, it's just not happened to him. It's just not happened for him. But we wait and see. I mean, there's a £40 million release clause. Chelsea aren't going to get that. Dortmund, I don't believe they're going to activate the €35 million option to buy it they've got. It's too much money for them. Let's see. Will he be used as part of a deal for Jamie Gittins? Chelsea, obviously. I mean, again, reports have suggested that that Chelsea could be leading the race for Gittins. I mean, is that the case or not? I don't know. Are Chelsea leading the race for Gittins? Maybe they are. Is Gittins the level that we need to take us forward? Would that be the level? I don't fucking know, guys. I really don't know whether Gittins is the level to take us forward. Gittins has had a productive season for Dortmund. It's not been amazing, but he's been productive. So yeah, this is another one to keep an eye on. I don't think people realise how much business there is for us to do this summer, not just in terms of incomings, but also because of outgoings. There's so much to be done. Strasbourg might get Champions League or Europa League. Send Carney there, bro. If we're in the same European competition as Strasbourg, we can't loan any players to them. So we need to hope that Chelsea and Strasbourg are not in the same European competition next season, because we cannot send players to them if we're in the same European competition. We can't do that. So yeah, we're going to have to hope that that's what we're going to have to hope, that we're not in the same European competition and we can still send players there. That's what we need to do, guys. Gittins should come. Chelsea if Dortmund are really keen on Carney. Let's see. Again, like, is Gittins considerably better than Tyreek George? Could Tyreek George, if given the same minutes as Gittins, could he have a similar impact? I'm not saying that George is better than Gittins, but what I'm saying is, if you put those minutes into Tyreek George, could he not potentially be better than Gittins? Maybe he could be. Bro, I've not said that Delap's going to be a perfect signing for Chelsea. There's always doubts over every player that joins the club. That's just the way football is. There's no guarantees. Look, the worry with Delap would be is how would he adapt to coming up against low blocks? Because Ipswich, when teams play Ipswich, they'll always go out and attack and play on the front foot. And so a lot of Delap's best moments have been on the counter, have been on the transition. At Chelsea, the majority of teams play a low to mid block, get men behind the ball, make it very difficult for teams to break down. So can Delap adapt to that way of playing? Can he still be effective when coming up against teams who do that? That's the concern with Delap. But Gittins, look, I don't hate Gittins. There's clearly talent there. There's clearly ability there. But I just wonder whether you could just use Tyreek George instead and save yourself a load of money. That would be my thought on it. But I guess time will tell, guys. I guess time will tell on this one. Time will absolutely tell. And it's gonna be interesting. It is going to be an interesting one. Yeah. I think that's pretty harsh. I don't think he's washed. He just needs the right environment, the right setup, and someone to just have a bit of belief in him. Bro, you can believe what you want to believe, but ultimately, I'm pretty I'm probably going to believe the most connected people in the game in terms of Ornsteins, in terms of Fabrizios, that their information is probably right. You know, if you want to believe that everything that's said is lies and is PR from the owners, that's fine. And certain things absolutely are. But when it comes to transfer stories, that is not necessarily the case. So if you want to disbelieve everything that's reported, that's fine. That no problem. No problem with that if that's what you want to do. But that's not the case. That's not the case. Some stuff is absolutely PR. No doubt about it. Some stuff, of course, is PR. But other stuff is just straight up transfer news. And whether you want to believe it or not, is fine. Do I think Villa will buy Disasi? Potentially, yes. Potentially, yes. Yeah, poor, cost his team the game. I don't know why managers keep playing Disasi at right back. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Guys, with 5 likes from 100, 108 in the building, keep smashing the like button. Let's get this to the 100 likes target. 100 likes target, guys. 5 to go. Smash the like button and subscribe, people. George is absolutely class. He can play on both wings and also be the third. Bro, he can't be the third striker in the squad, but he can definitely be a good option out wide. He can definitely be a good option out wide, for sure. It's so obvious it doesn't work out. What doesn't work out? Yeah, I know. And I don't know why. And I don't get why managers keep doing it. I don't get why managers keep doing it, guys. There's no reason. There's no reason for it to keep being done. No reason whatsoever. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. It's so obvious. It couldn't be more obvious. It could not be more obvious, guys. Yeah, I would probably start George against Everton on Saturday, potentially, but I think he'll be an impact sub again from the bench. That's the role that I'm envisioning for Tyreek George going forward for the remainder of the season. You know, that's the role that I see him playing, being a bit of an impact sub. That's what I see. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, bro. Absolutely agree. You know, it's important not to get carried away, and it's important not to overhype these players. That's one thing that we mustn't do, guys. One thing that we must not do is overhype these players just because they've scored their first goal and they've had a couple of good games. We can't be doing that. Yeah, I do think we need another left back. Whether Ish Samuel Smith, who signed a new contract last week, is going to be the answer to that, be the backup to Cucurella, or we go and sign someone, that remains to be seen. But we do need a natural left back in the squad. No, there's no denying that. No denying that whatsoever. We need another natural left back in the squad, for sure. For sure. Well, you would think he would know that. You would think he would know that. But yeah, evidently not. Evidently not, guys. Evidently not. But yeah, there we go. There we go. We're still 2 likes on 100 people. Run it up, run it up, run it up. Let's check if there's any last bits of news that have come through. Let's have a quick look. I don't think there is. I don't think there is, guys. I imagine that Gusto will miss the rest of the season, probably. There's no update on that, but Maresca said it was a muscular injury and it didn't look particularly great. So I'd imagine that Gusto will probably most likely miss the remainder of the campaign. But yeah, guys, going to round it out here. Yeah, Quite possibly. But yeah, guys, going to round this one out here. Big up to everyone in the chat for tuning in. Greatly appreciate each and every single one of you. Thank you for your support as always. Guys, make sure you smash the likes on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be back tomorrow with another live show. Make sure you stay tuned in, guys. So yeah, as always, guys, catch you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Smash the like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Up the Chelsea, and we're out. Peace.